and welcome to Respect, the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest weekly podcast. My name is Micaya. This is our 26th year, and guess who's back? My co-host, Brandy Beasley.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I'm like getting a little emotional.
Already?
Already, girl. Like, right? Usually
I
like
missed it.
a few minutes in or something, or, once we introduce the guests at some point. But from the jump, I'm so excited to be back.
Welcome
Woo!
back, my love. So those of you who have been tuning in, we have been doing Respect since pandemic, and it's been so wonderful and educational and a great community source that we have continued to do it. Brandy did it with me for the first few years, and last year I had the honor of co-hosting with Mr. Corey Action himself. And that was really fun and beautiful and different, He didn't get emotional every second, like you do, Brandy. I miss you, So, Brandy, just really quick, I know I did let the Respect listeners know why you did not join us last year, but if you want to just kind of give us a really sweet, quick public service announcement, let everybody know why you weren't part of our podcast, please do.
Yes. So last year in June, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so was going through that journey, treatment, all the things. And, came out on the other end, just like, I feel like I have a superpower now. Like, I just really feel like I have a superpower in terms of life, choosing less stress, focusing on family, friends, love, dance, all of that. And so just everybody, listen to your body. I found the lump in my breast myself. So listen to your body, get your mammograms, do your self exams, all that stuff. And don't be afraid if you find something, go to your doctor, get it checked out, because I'm a survivor, right? We can survive this stuff. And just so much love and gratitude to everybody who supported me through this journey and just who continues to be in my life. So much love. So much love. Yes.
Yeah. Well, from somebody who knows you, you get a little hearts.
Yes.
See, mine doesn't do that. From somebody who has known you for so long, I can say you always have had that superpower, because I'm a fan of yours forever. You and me go back. We have a sisterhood that's deep, and, I love you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm so glad you're with us. I'm so glad you're here for us and your family, and you're well and you're thriving. So
that's right. Cancer free.
Get big, 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 big thank yous. Yes. So here we are. We managed to make it past the 25th, It was
that
was a big year.
Yeah. That was kind of like, okay, how far are we going to make it? Are we going to get
managed to do it.
26? Yeah.
And I really, especially during pandemic, we weren't sure. It's been so rocky financially. Are we going to make it? So last year I made changes. I changed the festival format to having one program only instead of two separate programs. And we did 3 shows instead of 4. It was outstanding. I'm doing that again this year because it really worked. That's how we learn. You try, you learn from the mistakes or the things that don't work so well. You try it this way, and the parts that you work, you keep and you implement into your further decision. And so that's what we're doing again. We are doing the 26th annual San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest. Give thanks and praise,
Yes.
And it's November 9 and 10.
Wow.
And on the 9th is a Saturday, and it's a 7:00 show. Now, if you're in the know, you don't get there at 7. You get there before so you can watch the performers freestyle on stage. That's and right. Just like bumping it out on a circle. So, get there early. And then afterwards, we're doing the Soul Train freestyle contest again because that was so overwhelmingly popular. Were you there?
I don't think I was there for that
Yeah.
day. No, I
Oh,
think I
Brandy,
came, yeah, I know. Well,
Brandy.
obviously this year, my
Yeah,
homework and assignment is, yes, be there for the Soul Train. Yeah,
yeah.
vision.
So imagine this. Imagine, because now the sun is starting to get in my eyes. I feel like I'm blind. Imagine this. Imagine people of all ages, little tiny kids, grandmas, all coming on stage and just shining bright and just having the time of their life. Talith, who is a legendary turfer, which we're going to be interviewing at some
Mhm.
point during the season, was the host. She kept it super positive and loving. I love that girl. Was our host. And, we had legends like Tracy Bartlow got up there and worked it out. Samara, who was, the one who ended up winning the $500. Anyways,
Nice.
that was super, super amazing. We're doing that again, and the winner will win $500. Then on Sunday, we have our regular matinee at noon, which most of the kids love that show. I think it's just the noon show. And then, so because kids love that show, what do we do after the show?
Oh, we get them all up on stage, baby. Yes, and they dance it out. I love it. Yes.
All the kids just jumping and flipping and dancing and showing all their moves because they've been sitting there watching
Yes.
these legendary dancers and dance companies, so they're inspired. And then Sunday, the 5 o'clock. So there's two shows on Sunday, the 12 and the 5. The 5 o'clock show is going to have a party, and all of these extra things are included in the ticket this year. So they're not separate. So the freestyle, the kids circle, the party you'll just wander out after the show into the lobby, and we'll be doing awards. We have a little bites and little bit of drink. Thank you, usually to Ms. Brandy, who sponsors it, a DJ, and I'll probably get a performance or so. So there's a lot to look forward to. We're elevating and constantly just leveling up, as they say.
Yes. You know what I always look forward to? I always look forward to seeing what shoes you're gonna wear. I'm
I
serious.
really did not expect you saying that, but when people talk about my outfits and things, they have to understand my workwear are sweatpants
Oh yeah.
every day. I go to work in sweatpants and tennis shoes and t-shirts and sweat jackets. That's my life. I'm a choreographer, a dance teacher. So any chance I can get to wear a cute outfit, let's
Yes.
go.
Yes, exactly, right?
Joy. It's
Love
joy.
it. I
It's
think that's
joy.
why I look forward to it because I'm the same. I'm
Yeah.
tennis shoes all day,
Yeah.
and then dressing up is serious.
Yeah. You know, we're here a little tiny bit on this light in this body. Why not, enjoy the little things like that or the big things, I used
Yeah,
to think they were so surface level or shallow, but they're so not because they give you depth of joy.
they give you life. Okay, yes, life. What else?
Yeah.
You know what else is giving me life?
Tell me.
Break dancing at the Olympics.
It's
Okay.
not called break dancing, it's called
I'm
breaking.
sorry. Breaking. Excuse me. It's break. You are right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Breaking.
I was thinking, that would be a topic.
Yeah.
I've only watched a little bit of it. I
Okay. So I
haven't
can't.
taped. So and obviously it's we're taping this, excuse me, right now, much earlier than it's being aired. By the way, it's being aired today. Officially is your birthday, September
Okay.
14th. Happy birthday, happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday
But
to
what we're
you.
talking about right now was in
Yes.
August, the Olympics, and we are still, going over it. And we always love that representation. Yeah.
Word. I mean, yes.
So um, I'm excited because we were talking about last year. We had an incredible human being that we gave the Legend Award to, the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest Legend Award, and we were lucky enough to have him as our guest today.
Yes. All right. So we have Reverend William R. Randolph III, AKA Mr. Penguin, who was born in Mississippi and raised in Oakland. He's a founding member of the renowned street dance boogaloo hip hop group, the Black Resurgence. William and the Black Resurgence were among a stellar team of dance professionals and writers who recently received an Emmy for their participation in KQED's If Cities Could Dance series. William is an ordained minister dedicated to using his theatrical talents, education, and life experiences to take the whole word to the whole world. Welcome, Reverend William R. Randolph III.
Welcome.
Hey, good
Hey,
to see you all.
yes.
Good to see
First
you
of
as well.
all, I want to say to Micaya and the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest team, kudos for 25 plus years, and kudos for the Legacy Award. Can anything good come out of Mississippi? Can anything good come out of East Oakland?
Yes.
Well, the Emmy Awards think so. San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest thinks so. And Brandy, I think so. I wanted to say to you, Brandy, congratulations and much love for encouraging the female population as well as the male population of the United States and the world to take good care of your bodies. Your soul lives in this tent, jar, building that God has let us have for a short period of time called the body. But if we don't take care of it, you can shorten your lifespan. So it behooves us to do all of the things, get all the checkups, talk to, and don't be afraid to do that. The more you know, the longer you go. Amen.
Yes, thank you. Yes, truth. I knew that was going to be prolific. Thank you. The fact that you're giving us kudos when we know that you've been doing this since the sixth.
Yes, it's the 60s, actually.
The 60s,
right. Since, as a matter of fact, New Year's Eve, 1967, was the first time I saw the dance genre, East Oakland Boogaloo, being done. I was in a party at a New Year's Eve party. My aunt took me there, and my mom was with my brother and and I was in there doing, Oakland Boogaloo was born out of, and I just have to put this in, Oakland Boogaloo was born out of the R&B funk music era. And so on the turntables, on the ones and twos, they had James Brown doing his thing. And then they had another song called Funky Broadway. And that was the song that was playing. And I was out doing my thing, doing my best imitation of James Brown, because he was the one that everybody wanted to be like. I was skating around the floor, spin around and hit a split. And I saw these two brothers, Duck Scott and, Duck and Doug Scott, come walking, or actually neck craning and stepping from in the shadows. And they would start flailing their arms and jump to the side and pose real hard. Bam! I'm like, I was in my split. I looked up. I'm like, I'd never seen that. Like, what in the world is that? So I got up from my split, and they started grooving on the dance floor. And I just couldn't wait to ask them, what are you all doing? And they told me, it's called Boogaloo. And that was my introduction. From that point on, I became immersed and what was going on in the community and with the various schools around and who was doing it. If you think about it, it was during the time of, I'll say black exploitation movies. You had things like Superfly out there and that type of thing. The men. Oh, in Oakland there were some, and I hate to say it, but there were some pimps called the Ward Brothers, notorious. They were in a movie called The Mac, and that's from the 70s. If you get a chance, go back and look at The Mac, where Jay Payton hosted the Players Ball. And they wore these maxi coats, these wool maxi coats, and these different types of fedora hats and Godfathers and hummingbirds and beavers and Pierre Store, we called them Robin Hood hats. And it was just phenomenal. And so the young men in the dance community started taking on this dress persona. And, you really couldn't be a boogaloo if you didn't have all that going on. And you couldn't be a boogaloo if you couldn't dance to any genre of music. Like we were at the, what's it called down in Los Angeles. One year, they Asia One puts on an event down there, the B-Boy Summit.
Mm-hmm.
And all the different dancers from around the country were there, and we were on stage having a discussion about, who started what and what is what and all the stuff, right?
Mm.
And because, when males get involved, it's like, it's the testosterone levels change the perspective of things. But Larry Robertson from the Black Resurgence said, hey, look, if you can't dance to no music or anything, any type of music, everything from classical to hip hop, then you are not a boogaloo.
Huh.
Real talk.
Interesting.
So there is a lot to be said about boogaloo and its origins and the various groups that not started it, but that have propelled it into what it is now. Because in essence, when you look at the dance elements of hip hop, in particular popping's impetus or genesis is Oakland Boogaloo. Oakland Boogaloo fostered the BRS styles, boogalooing, roboting, and strutting. And then from there, you have popping or pop locking that was done in sort of the middle part of California down to Los Angeles. And it's where, combined with breaking, you get the movies Beat Street and Breaking. And so, like I said earlier, can anything good come out of East Oakland? Yes.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So I know it's hard to find out the origin story. And as you said, there's a lot of people who have their own versions of things. And we've had these discussions with people that, not everyone was there, but you saw these two guys at the party on New Year's Eve, and you went up to them and you asked them about it. What are you doing? Did you learn where they learned it from?
Mm.
What I did learn was this, that it was birthed out of street or party dancing, the jerk, the swim, the twist, the Watusi, which were all party dances that were done in the 60s. But, and they were done normally male and female. But just like in every other era, of history, a couple may go out on the floor and do their dancing, and inevitably somebody starts just what we call getting down. And the rest of the crowd will sort of like stop dancing and sort of watch them. And that's basically the impetus of the cipher, because what I saw happening was people moving from this street dance, these street dance moves, or incorporating them into their own individual styles, which is where Boogaloo sort of got its where it got its start. And then you had individuals that were doing it, and they started, in order to compete or in various talent shows and around, they started forming groups. And in particular, in Oakland, there were Pirate and the Easy Walkers, and a 1+1. And 1+1 it's initially started with Mr. Jerry Rente, Mr. Michael Enoch, but they added in a gentleman named Albert Milton, Iron Man, Albert Iron Man Milton, who was he was versed at various types of things, especially martial arts. But he combined his martial arts with his boogaloo. Incredible. And they added a brother named Michael Sanders, who was our second manager, and a young lady, actually, who was the mascot, named Patricia Scott, or Pat Scott. She was phenomenal. And what's ironic is her older brother, Doug Scott, was one of the guys I saw dancing when I first learned what Boogaloo was.
Wow.
Small world.
Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have others like Hamo, who was in Central East Oakland, who gave rise to the genre by primarily being the mascot of Fremont High School. Their mascot was the Tiger, and he was the Fremont Tiger. And at halftime, he would go out with the band and do his thing. And every high school in Oakland had a mascot. And normally the mascot was a dancing person. And they would follow the various sports teams around. And when they had the track meets, both colleges, junior colleges, high schools, down in Fresno, the schools would go down, the cheerleaders would go down, the band would go down, and the mascot would go down. And because we didn't at the time have the internet, we didn't at the time have a lot of movie cameras out there, you had to be there to see it, to witness it. But you would hear the stories. And we went down to various ones, and they would turn the place on its head. And somebody said we'd turn it out. And Hamill was one of those that did that for Fremont High School. There was another gentleman that was here in East Oakland he was John Tanner is his name. And John ended up teaching like at a number of fitness and health places, and, teaching the genre to various students. And he wasn't a renowned boogaloo, although he was very good at it. And he was pretty academic as well. However, with Pirate and the Easy Walkers and 1+1 is sort of where Boogaloo got its rise, or got its look on stage at talent shows. And That was the beginning. And then for the Black resurgence in 1971, November 1971, during the civil rights, was actually the affirmative action time. And the Kennedy family, Robert and his mom in particular, had given money to the various, to be disseminated through cultural zones around the country. And in East Oakland, they developed these 7 community development districts. One of them was Deep East Oakland. They gave money and they said, well, how can we raise additional money? And they decided to do talent shows with the children having all of these various talents. They put on these shows, and you had bands, singing groups, singers, people doing dance, primarily tap, jazz, ballet, but you never had any boogaloos until 1+1 did a show in McClymonds High School in Oakland, and they won something. I don't know which place they won, but anyway, they decided to have the same thing at Elmhurst Junior High School. And so there was a gentleman named Kenny Love who was a baseball player primarily, but he went and handpicked individuals to be part of a group that would compete in the talent show. And the ironic thing is he did that not because he wanted to win a show or anything. He just wanted to get a girlfriend.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
I'm telling you, real talk. Kenny could play baseball really well. He couldn't really dance that well. He could dance, but not that well. But he knew good boogalooing when he saw it. And he said, hey, he went and got a gentleman named Cody Armstrong, who was a 7th grader, because Kenny was a 9th grader. He went and got Cody's friend, Butch Goolsby, who was a 7th grader. And he said, man, let's be in the talent show. They said, okay. You know, he's a 9th grader. They're going along with whatever he says. Okay. So they say, okay, who else can we get? He says, hey, man, how about James Miller? Now, James Miller is my cousin. So James says, sure, I'll do it. And James said, well, we need to get my cousin William, but they call me Ronnie. That's my pet name. Get Ronnie. So they came and got me. I said, well, Robin Newsom could dance. Well, let's get Robin. And then we were like, what about that goofy guy over there with the big natural? You talking about Larry Robertson? Yeah, he always turning flips and hitting the splits at the dances in the gym. Said, okay, well, let's get Larry. So the 7 of us go to the audition, and we go out there and we have a band called the Soul System Band, because back in the day, you didn't dance to tracks, you didn't dance to 45s or 33 RPM records. You danced to the house band, and the house band could do it. Oh. So Soul System was on the stage, and they struck up James Brown's Super Bad. I got soul, and I'm super bad. And the 7 of us come out, and we do our thing. And Kenny, I don't know what made him do this, but he starts doing this little hop where you bounce down and then you come up and you kick your leg out. It's like a Russian type of, and all of us started doing it together. That was our choreography. But at the end of the night, they said, okay, you guys can be in the show. What's the name of the group? I'm like, everybody looked around and started throwing out these names. Now think about it. Now we're in the Black Power era, and so I said, it just came to my mind, Black Resurgence, and everyone in the group looked at me and said, "Yeah, we're the Black Resurgence," and I didn't really know how to spell it, so I just I said RESURGENTS, like gentlemen. Resurgence. Yes. And they said, okay, resurgence. And so I went home. And after the audition, I said, Mom, guess what? We're going to be in a talent show. She was like, you're going to be in a talent show? I said, yeah. I said, what are you going to do? We're going to dance. She said, oh, you see, she knew I could dance because every family gathering on the holidays, I would go out there and James Miller and I would compete against each other. That's how he and I knew each other could dance. And she said, oh, that's nice. She said, well, what's the name of the group? And I said, Black Resurgence. She said, oh, that's nice. What does that mean? And I stood there looking at her like a deer in headlights. I said, I don't know. She said, boy, go back there and get the dictionary.
Mm.
And I did. And I found out that resurgence means rising or tending to rise again. Black rising or tending to rise again. And being a little cerebral, I was like, wow. And she was like, okay, you can keep that name. So I go back and I explain it to the fellas. And so the show is the next night. And we get ready to go do the show. And we get a call that Larry Robertson has the stomach flu. And I'm like, what? So Robin Newsom says, well, I tell you what, guys, I have a little cousin at the elementary school named Dwight. He knows how to boogaloo. I said, well, bring him. And so we go on that first night on Friday. We do our thing again. And Kenny does that choreography and we all start doing it, right? But we do our individual, each individual goes out and does their individual thing. And we kill a place. So, but the next night is going to be, Saturday, and it's a 2-night show. Saturday, Larry Robertson shows up. I'm like, you got rid of the stomach flu mighty fast, bro.
He's ready to
dance. We don't get rid of the white. We keep him too. And then Michael Sanders, he was the MC, and he was part of 1+1. He gets a little fella named Mark Hall, who's smaller than all of us. And Michael had on a white Levi's jean suit with a white long hair beaver hat. And so Michael, before he introduces us, he starts doing a little something. Then he introduces the group, and we come out, slay the place with the band on Superbad. And then he calls little Mark Hall up on the stage. And Mark was dancing, doing his little thing, and he was so short and small, like Micaya said, how the little kids do their thing. Michael took off his hat, gave it to Mark. Mark starts twirling his head around in a circle like that, and then going back and when he does it, the hat starts spinning around. And then he starts going the other way, and the hat's spinning the same way. His head's going the opposite way. Crowd went crazy. And we started calling him Headquarters from that day forward.
Wow.
And at the end of the night, they said, third place goes to the Black Resurgence. The place erupted. You had never seen a boogaloo dance group win a talent show, any place in the talent show, but we did. And at that point, we said, oh, you know what? We're going to be doing this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So, we said we got to rehearse for the next. And Kenny Love, Butch Gooseby, and Cody Armstrong said, rehearse. Man, I just did this to get a girlfriend. I ain't coming to no rehearse. So they dropped out after the first show. So we were down to like 5 people. Dwight Elder, Robin Newsom, myself, Larry Robertson, and James Miller, and the 5 of us went on and started doing things, and it was coming along real good. And then that was in November. So in about February, we were at rehearsal at in my mom's house, and Dwight said he's the only one in elementary school, right? And I don't know. I think Robin was late to practice, and we were up there doing our steps, and James was like, we can't do this without Robin. So Dwight said, Vic's right there on the couch. Let Vic in the group. So, Vic's my younger brother, and you know how siblings can be. But he and I would, you know, we played ball together. And I said, I didn't really want to say no, but at the same time, I didn't want to say yes. And everybody said, well, can he do the steps? And my mother said, he'd been watching you guys since November. And he got up there and he did it. Him and Dwight, it was on and cracking.
Yeah.
So he became the other member. And the six of us, I think the first show that we ever did was at the Lux Theater, downtown Oakland. Yeah, at the intermission between the movies. Us and the Soul System Band.
Love it.
Yes.
I had, and the crowd was like, "Ooh, look, they're so cute. They're so little." And Vic and Dwight were doing their thing together. And then Robin and I, we did our thing. And then Larry and James did their thing. And then we came together, and James was a choreographer by that time. And we did his choreography was based on what we saw the Temptations, the Four Tops, the Manhattans, and especially the OJs do. And so we knew how the choreography came about because the club owners, Jay Payton would want us to be on the show with the bands and stuff. The club owners said, well, you guys can't just come on there. You do your best 1.5 minutes of dancing. You do your best one. You guys would be out there for like 7.5 minutes. That ain't, no, we need you out there for 20 minutes. So in order to be basically a filler, we had to come up with these routines. And that's how the routines and Boogaloo got started.
Wow.
Because we always had the individual, we always had what we call the solos.
Right.
The solos. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And people used to say about the Black Resurgence that, you guys, they could step. So, yeah, but you can't even get in the group unless you have a good solo.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be regulating me to know background, gotta, do some choreography with my fellas type of, that's not, no. If I can't get out on my own and do my thing, it's not gonna work, because we would get challenged everywhere we went by individuals, male and female. Let me see what you got. Oh, I heard you could get out. I heard you could boogaloo. And there it is. Me, myself, I eventually got to handle Mr. Penguin because I loved Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, I do too. I love him.
Charlie Chaplin was my man.
Yes.
And we watched all of the old movies with Fred Astaire, Danny Kaye, and those types of people. Bilbo Jangles Robinson, anywhere where we could, Sammy Davis Jr., the Nicholas brothers, all of those people were inspiration for us. And then I can't leave out the females too. We watched Josephine Baker and all what she was doing in Europe, Lola Falana. And actually Larry Robertson's mother and my mother, Mrs. Leslie Juanita Randolph, known as Honey, were our managers initially. And Larry's mother's idea was to get us, Sammy had he had an ongoing show in Vegas. And she wanted to get us to be on his show. And she was an Eastern Star. She knew a lot of people. So she was writing letters to try to get us to be on there. He eventually got Lola Falana and all of her girls to dance with him. But it gave rise to the name of the Black Resurgence. And then we got involved with a lot of political people in the Bay Area, in particular, Ron Dellums, who at that time had Keith Carson and Barbara Lee and Sandre Swanson working for him.
Wow.
So anytime they would campaign, they would call us to, go out and not only them, But the Black Panthers, although they were militant and doing their thing, when they would have rallies and what have you and want to get the word out, they would have us come and we were the unofficial dance group for the Black Panther Party. And I'm happy to say that at their 50th, I believe it was their 50th anniversary, they had a talk at one of the college campuses in Contra Costa County. And I took Tracy Bartlow, myself, a turfer named iDummy,
I love iDummy.
Dan. We all went there. And then I had Larry's daughter, who's DJ Raspberry, who could dance herself on the turntables and told the story. And the Black Panthers were actually there. And Fred, and I remember Mr. Hilliard saying, "Hey, that's the Black Resurgence. They used to dance for us." Elaine Brown, who, and then what's the lady's name? She's an instructor too, I think down at UC Santa Cruz.
Carmela?
No. Wow. Well, anyway, Eldridge Cleaver. Huey Newton, obviously. Angela Davis, that's who I was thinking about.
I thought you were talking about, yeah.
So it was very exciting times. The 70s in Oakland were just phenomenal. And I'm just happy to have been a part of what was fostered. Because like I said, when I think about the dance genres, even up today, and how they've been exploited to sell goods, products, and services everywhere, all over the world.
That is, I just
feel
want to,
about that.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to know, how do you feel about
Elaborate.
these, them being exploited?
Let me say this, that when we came along, most of the styles and the styles, the dress, the tricks, all of it were held close to the vest. Because we grew up and performed in what was primarily a competitive environment. So you didn't want to, our practices were closed for the most part. We did not, with the Black Resurgence anyway, we did not go out. We had a lot of other interests, played sports, rode bicycles, chased a lot of girls. And then I did some academics. I was a student for real. Graduated top third of my class. But anyway, we did not go out and, you couldn't be a part of the Black Resurgent group, go out and get on the street with the competition and say, "Oh, we're going to do this in the talent show." No. You have to keep that in so that you can beat the competition. If you want to win, when we won third place on the first round, on the first talent show, right? And if my brother was here, what he would tell you. And after that, we won first place forever, like 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
Until they said, "You all can't be in the show any longer. You can be the guest. We'll pay you to be the guest, a special guest, but you cannot compete." And so, hey, there it was, which was fine with us.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
We, by the time we were seniors in high school, I was a senior in high school, we got connected to a local record label called Honey Records, because Honey Records, our campus supervisor, the campus supervisors, you went to school in Oakland or in the Bay Area or anywhere in the nation probably, you have an older person that monitors the young people and try to make sure you're not cutting class and that you're not getting in a bunch of fights and all that type of stuff. Well, one of the campus security people at Castlemont High School was a guy named James Levi. James Levi was a drummer, played with Eartha Kitt, played with so many different Bay Area bands. He knew the Escovedo family really well, but he had his own band called Grove Street. And in Grove Street, they had a lot of good, talented musicians, but they were connected to Honey Records, where a gentleman by the name of Harvey Fuqua, who was a part of the doo-wop group Harvey and the Moonglows from the 40s, 50s, and Harvey was responsible for bringing Junior Walker and the All-Stars, and Marvin Gaye, and the Spinners to Motown.
Wow.
He met Marvin because there were two of his doo-wop singers who had heroin addiction, and they got ready to do the show and they couldn't find them. They were in the bathroom shooting heroin.
Mhm.
So he saw Marvin and his group. They used to follow him around saying, Mr. Harvey, we want to sing with you guys. So he pulled Marvin and one of the other guys out and said, hey, you guys can do the show tonight. And they knew all the material. And they did. And they finished the tour with the Moonglows. And then Harvey took Marvin, Junior Walker and All-Stars, and the Spinners and introduced them to Berry Gordy. And the rest is history.
Wow.
He also produced the song for Stevie Wonder, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours.
Mhm.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, if you read the credits, you'll see. And Harvey was a heck of a music producer. And then after that, he produced for RCA Records, New Birth. You read that New Birth album, you read the credits. Harvey Fuqua did that. And he came to the Bay Area. He started him and his wife at the time, Nancy Pitts, started Honey Records. And they would record at Fantasy Records on 10th Street in Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Great relationship.
Mm.
James Levi, we did actually the Black Resurgence and the Black Messengers in November of 1975. Did a show at Castlemont High School to raise money for the senior class because the class of 1975 had spent up all of the residual money that was going to be used by our class in 76 to get somewhere to have our senior ball. So we said, during our meetings, I was a part of student council. What are we going to do to raise money? Well, let's have a car wash. Let's have a bake sale. I'm like, let's have a show. They were like, really? Yeah, we could do it. Let's have a talent show. He said, talent show? Randolph, you crazy. I'm like, no. Listen, with what's going on out here in the community, the Black Resurgence against the Black Messengers, our band against their band. And they were like, that's not going to work. I said, well, let me try. So I had a friend whose name was Tony Newsom, Mark Tony Newsom, who wanted to be a Black Messenger. But he was a younger guy, but he knew how to talk, had friends all over the city. And so we printed up tickets and we went out there and started telling people that us and the Black Messengers were going to go against each other. Sold Castlemont's gym, not gym, I'm sorry, auditorium.
Yeah.
It held about 1,000, it had about 1,000 seats.
Wow.
Sold it out.
I'll bet.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Black Messengers formed after the Black Resurgence, is that correct?
1 year later, they formed after us. And it's ironic that two stories I want to tell you about this boogaloo genre and something. Yeah. Well, the one is that the Black Messengers, they knew how to boogaloo. The individuals in the group knew how to boogaloo. The original Black Messengers were not the ones that became popular and that were on the Gong Show.
Oh.
Only the only one that was close to being an original was Kearney Mayers. But Kearney's brother was an original. Mignon Duran was an original. Marlon Haynes was an original. These were original. And Henry Fisher, even, who ended up dancing with the Black Resurgence later, was an original. And the reason that they became, or that they had the choreography that they had, was because they couldn't step like us. They'd be sitting in the audience and watching us do our steps, which we primarily did because we were right-handed primarily. We would dance going to the right a lot. Even in the spins, although we'd go split up and come back together, and they were out in the audience. And when you're looking at somebody performing and it's mirrored,
The other way.
you see the opposite.
Right.
And so they would be doing the steps, but it would be stiff. They couldn't do it fluidly. I don't know what it is about. I think it's because we learned our choreography from watching singing groups from the 60s and 70s do what they did. And God just gave us that naturally. But even when we tried to teach people to do that choreography, it was like, nah, that's not gonna work. You just don't, no, that ain't gonna work. And even our manager came on later after Michael Sanders, who was Nebraska Smith, who sort of took us from being boys to men. If he would watch us rehearse and he had this wooden ruler, and if we didn't get it right,
wooden ruler.
Yeah.
He got smacked?
Oh, he was a taskmaster. He was an ex Air Forceman. And so
Write that down and implement that to my dance company.
Yeah. Hey, look out now. Look out.
Kai's got the ruler.
Here's the thing. It taught us discipline, and it taught us to be fluid. And then too, can't be watching the floor. What you looking on the floor for? What's down there? No. Look out at your audience. Find either somebody or something out there where you can hold your head up and smile. Because you're giving out joy. What you're giving out from within yourself, within your soul, is joyful. It's what God has put in you to give out, not so much to draw attention to you. Because when they ask you, where and how do you do this? It's only by the grace of God. Okay, the preacher in me is coming out now. Without what God has given each of us individually, that is how we know he's in the earth. Because what he's given you, you give out to other people, and it brings them joy, brings smiles to their faces, laughter to their heart. And that is what makes what we do unique.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
With
Go
a
ahead.
jacked up spirit, all the rehearsal in the world is not going to do you no good. And what anyway, let me tell you this. Let me get back to my point, right? Okay. So the Messengers couldn't do the choreography we could do. So they came up with this thing of doing catch-ons, what we call catch-ons, and dominoes. And a domino is, I hit to the side, bam. You next to me, you do the same thing, and the next one does the same thing, and the next one does the same thing, bam. And then we all together come back together, bam. And that was cool. And what happened was, as the genre began to get out of Oakland and say, go into San Francisco because of Live Incorporated and then Close Encounters. What they did was took the Messengers choreography
Mm.
and put and made it go, and they stopped using bands because if you are a dance group and you have to pay yourself and a band, that's a lot of people, and you're not making that much money. So they said, we'll just use the record. And so they played a 45. But because at that time, the music went from being R&B or funk to being electronic and house, what they do is put the 45 on 78 and speed it up. And then they just speed up the moves. Bam. Instead of hitting slow, bam, 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 bam. They'd go bam, 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 and do it together. And when you see people like Media Circus, PT 3000, all of that is just the copier copying the copiers.
Right.
It's all it is. And they hate when I tell the story, but the truth be the light. And I don't have to lie for nobody.
Yeah. But what do they say? They say that it's not, they don't say copying, but basically it's the highest form of flattery, right?
Yeah. Oh, imitation.
Copying you, right?
Imitating you.
Thank you. Imitation, yes.
It's the highest form of flattery.
Right.
The problem with that is that for instance, no, the problem with that is when everybody's doing the same thing, how are you going to differentiate?
Right.
That's the thing. What makes you stand out?
Right.
We did a talent show one year, and there was like 7 dance groups. Everybody had gone to the same store. We all had white Levi's on and these pink fluorescent shirts, white apple caps, and white gloves.
Uh-oh.
Some people didn't have some groups didn't have the apple caps. Some didn't have gloves, but we basically all had on the same uniform. But Black Resurgence had on white. We had gotten some Levi jackets made, denim jackets made. So we had that whole outfit. And the only thing that differentiated us from everybody else was the choreography and the solos. Other than that, everybody looked the same.
Yeah.
That told me that.
That's the thing I was, and this is like our last topic because we're almost out of time, but I'm glad you're touching on that because I wanted for you to just quickly, go into, where does that go from just copying, or would you call it evolution if they did something else with it, like you were talking about the person that was doing boogaloo and added the martial arts, and that was accepted, but these people are literally doing and not really evolving, and they're just copycatting. Can you touch on that before we have to go? Because I'd love to hear what your thoughts on it.
Sure. For a long time, the dance, boogaloo, and the BRS styles weren't taught from one generation to the next. And there was no video of it for anyone to study. So in order to you'd have to see it and then try to go teach it to someone. In come the electric boogaloos, who primarily came to the Bay Area, to their cousin's house or whatever, and thought they were learning boogaloo, or saw it done at the Fresno Relays, since that's where they're from, in particular, Boogaloo Sam and Pete and Skeeter Rabbit. They thought they were learning the boogaloo. The problem with it is that instead of actually hitting, bam, they would go, bam, bam, pop. And that's where the popping came from, because it wasn't really a hit. And so they began, this is how it started. When the electric boogaloos were able to get some action on Soul Train, and the Whispers, who we used to tour for, when they got signed with Soul Train Records, and Don Cornelius and Dick Griffey wanted to do they started doing videos. They said, well, we have these guys, the Black Resurgence, we want to be, and Don Cornelius said, man, Dick, look, man, we're not going to get some little cats up in the Bay Area to do this. I don't care who Harvey, and I know Harvey and everything. We got a show full of dancers. We'll just use them. And so instead of using us, they were told the uniforms we wore, the black and silver uniforms, they told Electric Boogaloos to put that on. They did the video, And the Beat Goes On. And the Electric Boogaloos now are in that video. But when they began to go around the world and teach people what they thought boogalooing was, they had classes, and they would say, well, this is how you do this. This is the twist-o-matic. This is the this is the that. And then when the younger guys in the Bay Area started teaching classes, because we never did that, they started teaching the young people not only what they were doing, but complete choreographed routines. And right now, if you see a strutter, they probably learned from Lonnie Pop-Tart Green, and most strutters can do the same routine. He can get a strutter, somebody who says they're a strutter from San Jose, from up in Vallejo, San Francisco, Oakland, and say, hit such and such routine. And they'll all do it because that's basically what they did, was everybody learned his routines. So people like Agatha, who she teaches, people like Joe That Go. And I just had them do something with me at our church for our health education fair. And
you know what? This topic is a whole nother podcast. And I would love to get in it because it is interesting, and people do like to try to understand. And we might have to just get you back and start where we're leaving off right now, because there's so much more to say. And young people that are watching, this is important. This is important stuff to hear. Everything that we've heard today is important. It's crucial to hear and know.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate being here. Again, Micaya, I love you. And I love what San Francisco International Hip Hop DanceFest does. Brandy, I don't know you, but I love you too.
I love you too.
And
love all around.
Absolutely. I like that she did with the hearts. That's just great for a Sunday morning.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're taping on a Sunday. We air on a Saturday.
Yes.
Man, this has really made my day, probably my week. It has been outstanding, phenomenal. Like, thank you so much. The whole purpose of this podcast is this educational component for the public, but for Brandy and myself, we love learning this stuff, so thank you. And like I said, I really don't mind us taking from right there and going into like episode 2, the controversy, that what is watered down versus evolution versus imitation. All of that, I think, is our next topic. But meanwhile, thank you so much for your time. Everyone, once again, the San Francisco International Hip Hop Dance Fest 26th Annual is happening November 9th and 10th. And get your tickets and come and share with us. Come and appreciate what is now an iconic legacy of an event that happens in San Francisco. And if you want to see fine art become an institution, such as any other art, then support this. Support great, iconic hip hop dance culture. And that's what this is. So everyone, thank you for your time. And until we see you again, be well, much love, and much respect.